Hi everyone, this is Alex. I'm joined by Irfan, and we're going to go over the homework section from chapter 2.3 UML diagrams. Once again, we're going through the chapters in AP Computer Science Done Right. It's a book that's available on Amazon, and you can purchase it either as an ebook or a hard copy. Excellent. Irfan, are you ready?
Yes, let's go. But before we get started, can ask you a question?
You can absolutely ask me a question. What's up?
So, as you said, we learned about the UML diagrams
Mm-hmm.
and we learned how to draw them. But for me, I don't have any idea what is the point of it. So, why don't we just go through the IDE and just code those information?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So, if you remember in our last section, we said, let's say if you have a new member to your team. So, let's say you have already built so many of the things already, and you have a new member, and you'd like to explain to them how the system works. Before they can add in methods here and there, they need to first get an understanding of what the overview is. And this will happen a lot in your new job. So, whatever job that you get as a computer scientist, they probably have already started their project and there's already a lot of code for them. So, in order for you as a new member to understand how the code works, it's really tiresome to go through the, you know, IntelliJ or whatever other coding mechanism they have to just read all the code. It's not very clear. You have to keep going back and forth between different files. And, it's not as cohesive as a UML diagram that just shows you this is an interface, this is the classes, and these all implement this interface. It's just not that clean. So it's a lot more useful for you to learn about a code base through UML classes, UML diagrams. Does this first use case make sense?
Yes, it does. So, just to make it shorter and more easy to understand, now it makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. And again, this doesn't necessarily need to be as a new member. You could potentially be thinking, because we're doing very, somewhat simple stuff right now, but if you were to design something very difficult and complex, and you're not really sure if the interfaces that you have or the classes that you have are the right design, if the architecture makes sense, coding it and then recoding it would take so much time and you'd get confused. But if you just grab a piece of paper and do some diagrams of the UMLs, then you can make sure you have the right design before you start coding, and that will save you a ton of time.
Okay, now I see. Makes sense. Thank you.
Excellent. All right, I'm glad we had that out of the way because that's a really important question. Thank you for asking. Excellent. Okay, so as you remember, our homework is to go through the previous section's homework code and draw UML diagrams. And since the year is 1800, we don't have our computers anymore. So the homework from last class was the theme park activities. And if you recall, we said we have three different theme park activities. We have liquid based, we have free solo, and we also had roller coasters. Is that correct?
Exactly. Yes.
Excellent. Okay. So we decided to, essentially code all of this. And now we need to code it as a UML diagram. Okay. Can you tell me what should I start with? What did we do last in our code?
So we know that these three activities are three different classes because their information are too more complex.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have to start with creating one class for each activity.
Yes. So
And
how do I represent a class in a UML diagram?
so we learned that we have to draw a rectangle first for a class.
Yes, we can draw the rectangle piece, but I actually prefer to write it and then draw around it just because it's a little bit harder.
Okay, yes. So we'll start by the name of the class. So
Excellent.
let's say is liquid-based, for example.
Yes, I believe we called it liquid-based activity. Mm-hmm.
And then followed by that will represent the information in that class. So for liquid-based activities,
Mm-hmm.
there was a name, I think.
Yes, I believe all of them had a name. But remember, we draw a line after the name of the class to make sure that it's separated. So now it's under the name. I believe it had
Well,
a name and just an insurance cost. So those were the only things. Insurance cost. And sorry, I kind of went ahead, but the name of the fields is followed by colon and the type of that field. So for insurance cost, it would be an int. Okay, what else do we do?
so for the other two classes, we do the same.
Right, but before we go to there, there's other information about this class that we would like to represent. So one of it is actually the methods. So we draw another line because these are the fields, right? So we go into the methods. We draw another line to say that we're going to the next section. And I believe the methods we had were get name, followed by what? What should we have here?
It's a string.
Exactly. So colon and a string. And then I think we
And
had,
also gets insurance cost.
yes, exactly. Get insurance costs, which is an int. Okay, now that we have all the information about liquid-based activities, we can draw a line around it because it's a little bit clear. All right, so we would have to do the same thing for the free solo and roller coaster. In the interest of time, I'm going to skip those and I'm going to assume and hope that people can do them. So I'm just going to just write um, roller coaster, and I guess, well, actually, I don't want to show bad design, so I'm not going to write the other one. So I can assume that people can write the free solo one themselves around here. Okay, what else do we need to do?
Okay, and we also learned how to represent an interface.
Yes, precisely. So we need to represent our theme park activity. I'm just going to write that here. So how do we begin representing the interface?
We'll start by the name.
Exactly. So we'll go ahead and write theme park activity. And I'll draw a line underneath to indicate that that's just a name. And I believe that it only has two methods. Get name, which is a string, of course. And the next one is get insurance cost, I believe.
Exactly.
Excellent. All right, I'm going to draw a line around it to indicate that this is an interface on its own. Okay, anything left in this diagram? Anything else we should do?
And I think we need to add arrows to connect the interface with the classes.
Yes, precisely. So our classes here, they both implement the theme park activity. So I'm going to use a different color because it's very important. But what we need to do is write these arrows here, here, and to any other class that it implements. And this indicates that liquid-based activity implements theme park activity. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Perfect.
Excellent. All right. Well, I believe that's pretty much it. If you have any questions or thoughts or feelings about your UML diagrams, please feel free to post them as comments or ask me via email, or I don't know, maybe you can send me like a letter. But that's pretty much it. Thank you, Irfan.
Thank you, Alex. Bye.
Bye.